Train the muscles, not the joints. This is pretty funny news. I'm actually going to have my art published in a magazine. I actually just got accepted for my art to be published, so that's kind of funny. Because if you guys knew anything about me, when I was in grade 1, basically, I had the equivalent sort of experience of basically getting kicked out of art class because I couldn't color properly. So I'm about the most unartistic person ever when it comes down to formal art. But at the same time, now I'm being accepted as an artist because I do my own stuff. So, hey, it's kind of like finding your own way in training. It's almost the same thing. So I have a link down below to my Fine Art America page where you can check out my art and some of my photography and all that kind of stuff if you want to see it. Here it is up on my wall. See some of the stuff here. That's just a brief look anyway, but if you want to take a look on my Fine Art America page, you can. And yeah, I have some other stuff up there. So yeah, I paint, I do that, you know. Find your way, man. Find your way that works in your workouts as well as art, anything. It's kind of like making bodybuilding into an art. So I guess that's how they're both crossing together. So I hope you don't feel too robbed that I actually talked about art on a bodybuilding channel. Chicken, what a surprise. Having chicken again. Oh, pretty good. I think that's cooked. Yeah. So one thing I want to talk about today is volume. Now, different people have different definitions of volume, right? Some people say, oh, volume is just a total amount of weight lifted. So they can do bench presses with 10 reps for 100 pounds. That would be equivalent to 1,000 pounds of volume. So they measure it that way. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that way of measuring volume is crap. And I'm going to say this. This is exactly why, okay? And I think you're going to agree with me when I say this. If you do bench presses with 315 for a set of 5 reps, that might be 1,500 pounds in volume plus, you know, the extra little bit of weight there. But if you do 225 for a set of 30 reps, you're getting 6,000 pounds in volume. So obviously the 225 was a lot more volume according to poundage. But the fact is, and my experience has shown, that 315 for a set of 5 is way more intense on the tissue, way more intense on the body, and it causes a different adaptation response. So how I measure volume is how many sets do you take to failure or close to failure. You know, you go as hard as you can or pretty hard anyway. And that is a true measure of how much workload you've done that day. Now, different rep ranges, I find, is another variation. It's like another spice where a different rep range will have a different type of intensity on the overall system. So if I'm doing sets of 5 reps to almost failure, as opposed to 20 reps to almost failure, yeah, there might be more of an energetic load from the 20 reps to failure. Like I might be energetically more depleted, but as far as tissue damage, the 5 reps does way more. Overall, the joints and everything, I find that does a lot more damage to the overall tissue because you're engaging the fast twitch fibers. And the fast twitch fibers have an easier tendency to tear and break down. And that is just a fact. Endurance fibers do not break down as easily. So these high reps, even though you might be getting way more of a load according to poundage, it's not quite the same. So this is why I think measuring volume based on poundage is crap, because you might see a total poundage of 6,000 pounds as opposed to 2,000 pounds and say, oh, the 6,000 pounds must be more intense, but it's not. In a lot of cases, it's way less intense. So I think we have to change the definition of volume when it comes down to when I speak about it, because what I'm talking about is volume in a workout, not volume over a week, not volume over a year, not volume over this. It's not necessarily going to show you the big picture, because if I do 15 sets through 5 different sessions in the week, doing 3 sets each session, that's going to be a lot more intense on the body than me just doing 15 sets all in one session. Do you see? The volume might be the same, but if I do 3 sets every day to failure, that is way harder on that muscle group and the system than doing 15 sets all at once and then taking a week off. Because think about it, where are you the strongest? When are you the strongest in your workout? It's in the first 3 sets. So you will be lifting the highest amount of weight during those first 3 sets, and you'll be doing the most amount of reps during those first 3 sets. So the intensity is going to be much higher in the first 3 sets. So as a person does a higher volume workout, they'll notice that their weight comes down, the repetitions come down, the intensity actually drops as the workout goes along, although your experience of the intensity is quite dramatic. So based on this, there's some realities of just weight on the body, how much weight, how much intensity there is. And then when you basically hit with a certain amount of weight, there's a certain amount of damage that is done to the body based on just handling that weight. Anybody can agree that if I handle 1,000 pounds on my back, it doesn't matter how I handle it, it will be much more intense than me handling 50 pounds on my back. You see? So weight does play a factor. It is one major form of stimulus in it. So I do agree with you guys out there that say you need to gain strength. Yes, you do need to gain strength. That is part of it. Now you can gain strength with different rep ranges, but in the end, strength must go up. Strength and strength endurance, that's what leads to muscle mass. On the internet, there's this mass oversimplification of these terms, and this leads to a lot of confusion. I find a lot of people then start to oversimplify this whole game, and there's a lot more variables to it than you might think. Like I've said before, there's different ways to increase intensity in a given workout session. And one way to increase intensity is, yes, to increase the volume, right? But the point is how much volume is too much and how much volume is enough. That's where people get mixed up, right? And I think you should experiment to find out, right? But at the same time, intensity based on weight, like, you know, what percentage of your 1 rep max are you using? And I find if you do too high of an intensity, too much, you do overtrain, and you actually train more than you need to on a certain muscle fiber group. And that's why it's good to pepper in the higher rep range workouts as well. But I don't encompass it all in just volume as far as how much poundage I've lifted. So I don't measure based on that principle. I just say how many sets do I need in order to pound the muscle so that it feels like it got enough of a workout that it will adapt, and then I can move on to the next muscle. And I've found for me in a given workout, if I want to hit failure where it feels like almost like my muscles are spongy, where there's not really any contraction happening anymore. It's almost like they're just too dead. It feels like I'm not really lifting with muscles. I can't even feel them contract anymore. It's almost like you've gone beyond the pump. And once I've gone beyond the pump or beyond the contraction, it feels like there's just no push to the muscle. Then I know I've hit it enough, and then it will adapt. And then I'm better off taking a rest or training another body part and then waiting till next time to hit it. Want some chicken? You can have that piece. So we just curl off the piece of chicken. No, you don't. Okay, whatever. And on another note here, I'm just having some chicken hot sauce and a little bit of honey. Just a couple of things. I'm going to lower the carbs down just a little bit at my diet, have a little bit of fat, and try to cut up a little bit more in this next week or two. It doesn't take me too long, but just basically I'll have some rice and chicken and stuff throughout the day, but I'll cut one of those meals out at night maybe and just replace it with protein. And that usually is enough to cut me up a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. The next couple weeks, maybe I'll show you the secrets of losing body fat, right? The other thing I want to say is that I just read in the comment down here on my phone, I'm like trying to eat, and then you guys are commenting and telling me what to do with my training again. The bottom line is somebody said, Jason, why don't you just do the 1 set to failure and just, warm up for 1 or 2 sets and then just do that 1 set to failure. Basically the Mike Mentzer HIIT method. Well, although some people would disagree, I would say that I've tried the HIIT method, or at least versions of it. Maybe they're substandard. Maybe I didn't do the extended superset, giant set, strip set type thing that Mike Mentzer sort of advocates. But one thing you guys don't know is that I met Mike Mentzer. And when I talked to him, he actually believed at that time that you could get away with just training once every 8 days. No matter what body part, just once every 8 days, and then you hit a different body part 8 days after that. And as long as you hit it intense enough, you'll be fine, you'll grow. There are some people out there that might benefit from less sets though. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying for me, I tried the 1 set method, it never worked. I needed to do a little bit more volume than that. And only through tweaking my workouts, I started to find out what was the right amount of volume for me. And I'm always adjusting this. I'm always experimenting. I'm always trying more volume, less volume, higher frequency, less frequency. I'm always doing this. So it's not like I'm not open-minded, but I am guided by my body and I watch that and I pay attention to it. But as far as the 1 set thing though, over and over again, I found that just doesn't work. That just seems to be a little bit too small amount of volume. It just never seemed to work. It just wasn't right for me. So yeah, there's your answer. It just wasn't right for me. The other thing is to take into account is that As you train and as you have maybe certain injuries, certain instability of the joints, all this kind of stuff, sometimes groove can be a problem. Sometimes, how much can you get into your groove so that you can really hit that muscle intensely, like you're not fighting the balance all the time. Sometimes people have differences in this variable in them. Some people might have more unstable joints, more injuries to overcome. They need to warm up more. It takes them a few sets to get that energy going so they can manifest that intensity needed in order to cause the adaptation of the muscle. Now, I know myself, I did a couple warm-up sets and then went right into, balls out as hard as I can into a set. With some exercises, that might be too intense for me. It might injure me, right? So you got to go on kind of your own constitution in this. So again, it's so funny. Like, it's just so many people are fanatics about everything about training. They want to say, no, it's 2 sets, it's 5 sets. There's all these arguments. And I'm here to tell you, it's all bullshit. You need to kind of find the general guidelines and then find that specific recipe for you, but it's not going to be the same for another person. So don't come to me and tell me, Jason, if you just did 1 set, you'd be so much bigger. I tried that. I've done it. It didn't work for me. You know what I'm saying? I really don't think that I could have did it differently, because what happened, it was kind of like a sculpture. As I trained, I would adjust my training as I go and see how my body responded. And so what you're seeing in how I train is a culmination of 30 years of experimentation. So to come in and just say, oh, Jason, did you try 1 set method? It's going to work better. It's kind of naive, you know what I'm saying? I did try all this stuff. But this is how I came to this type of workout program that I'm actually selling to you guys and telling that worked for me. Okay, so yeah, I hope this helps explain. Like, I didn't just, just pull this stuff out of my butt and say, oh, I'm just gonna just work out this way. This is what I'm gonna get stuck in. It wasn't like some sort of fanaticism that I made up. It was something that I came to a realization of based on constant experimentation with my training routine. So anyway, I hope this helps you find your way, because that's the whole point. You don't have to do it my way. You need to find your way. So if 1 set is enough for you, that's fine. That's good. I say continue with anything as long as it's giving you results. By all means, do that. So thanks a lot for watching. And if you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalbodybuilding.com. And thanks a lot to the Patreon subscribers and the supporters there. And if you want to be a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com down below. And I will be doing live casts and special content for Patreon at some point. That's why I'm not doing live casts on YouTube anymore. I'm going to be doing it just for Patreon. So thanks a lot for watching, and take care for now.